once you have a shotgun selected for self-defense, it's critical that you pattern that gun. And by pattern, what we mean is, with the gun aimed at a particular spot on a target, that you know where your buckshot rounds are going vis-a-vis that spot. You know, are they high, low, left, right? And how far of a spread you have with a particular load at various distances from that gun. Now, what's really interesting is every gun will pattern differently. Even guns of the same type from the same manufacturer. For instance, this 12 gauge Mossberg with an 18-inch barrel will shoot a different pattern with different loads, or excuse me, with the same load from this Mossberg 12 gauge shotgun with an 18-inch barrel. And any gun at all will shoot different patterns when you start loading different manufacturers' rounds in there. It's got nothing to do with the goodness of the manufacturer or the goodness of the gun. It's just certain guns like certain loads, and that's just the way it is. What was really dramatic for me when I first started shooting shotguns was with my personal shotgun, I found that most manufacturers' loads, you know, at 7 yards would shoot about here. But there was one manufacturer, and it didn't matter which cartridge I chose from that manufacturer, that always shot twice as big. And I just couldn't figure it out, but it's just my particular gun didn't like that manufacturer's load. It was a perfectly good manufacturer. Even two identical guns, that is the same make and model from the same manufacturer, are going to shoot different patterns. And that's just the way shotguns and shotgun ammunition works. Now, the reason for this is that shotgun loads, shotgun cartridges, are filled with, in addition to the shot, the projectiles you're shooting, they have a wad in there, they have filler in there, and all those things interact differently with the slight differences in the manufacturing process of each barrel to affect the way the gun patterns. Bottom line here is it's really critical to know how your gun patterns, and you want to choose ammunition that patterns well in your gun. Now, despite the fact that every shotgun interacts differently with buckshot to produce different kinds of patterns, one of the most significant advances in self-defense shotgun ammunition over the last few years has been Federal Premium's flight control wad system for their double-out buckshot. This is a good place to start because in our experience, if this doesn't produce the smallest group out of your gun, it's going to produce something that's probably insignificantly different from the smallest group. So it's a good place to start. When you pattern your gun, you want to get a variety of ammunition of the type you choose, for instance, double-aught buckshot. Get a variety from different manufacturers. Shoot a round out of your gun into a target from a fixed distance, and then record what the size group was for that particular round. And you're looking for the round that gives you the smallest group or nearly the smallest group. And as we discussed, each gun and each load will be slightly different. Now, we shot about a total of 8 rounds, all double-aught buckshot from various manufacturers, all good manufacturers, all major manufacturers, from 7 yards. This was a typical group that we got, about 4 inches. Now, that's better than the 1 inch of spread per yard of travel that we had talked about earlier. So that's a nice result. So that was typical of the rounds we shot. This was the worst group we got. You can see there's a significant deviation from the typical 4 inches. We got a 12-inch group at 7 yards. Now, it's not a bad round, it's not a bad manufacturer, it's not a bad shotgun, it's just that particular round doesn't like that particular shotgun. So you wouldn't want to choose this as your self-defense load. However, at the other end of the spectrum, take a look at this. It's about a 1-inch group at 7 yards. This particular round really liked that shotgun. So everything else being equal, this is probably the round you want to go with. Now note the benefit of going with the round that gives you the smallest group. With maybe an inch at 7 yards, you could go out quite a distance before you got to a 7-inch pattern. So this particular round is going to allow that particular shotgun to become quite a long-range weapon. On the other hand, if this was the best group that you got out of your particular gun, that's fine. let's say about half an inch of spread per yard of travel, that extends that gun with this round out to a 13 or 14 yard weapon if you're trying to hold a 7-inch pattern as we suggest. That's just fine. 13, 14 yards, that is well within the distance of most civilian self-defense encounters.